"You know, I stopped believing in love without money a long time ago," said 30-year-old Justin, who had achieved success in business and amassed a considerable fortune with his computer games. He was sceptical about the idea of ever starting a family. "Why would I need that? For a glass of water in old age? To lie there, feeble, listening to my relatives squabble over my money and wondering why I didn't feel like drinking?" Justin's cynicism was deeply rooted in his experiences. Every girl he had met seemed more interested in what he could offer as a sponsor rather than who he was as a person. "Especially when they find out about my company and then it starts. 'Oh, I saw this wonderful ring in the store. Oh, darling, my car is outdated. I need a new one.'" He looked around with disgust and nodded toward the girls sitting nearby. "See, any of them. Show them your bank account or car, and they'll rush to bring you misery," he muttered. His friend raised his eyebrows mockingly, perhaps sensing the bitterness in his words. The conversation highlighted the stark contrast between Justin's material success and his disillusionment with genuine connections, leaving him questioning the sincerity of those around him. "Justin, you're so consumed by your ego that you've stopped thinking about the important things, the things money can't buy," his friend remarked. "And when someone starts acting like that, fate has a way of delivering a cold shower, quickly and in a form you'll never expect." With that, they parted ways. Justin, who usually drove a two-seater sports car, wore an old sweatshirt and faded jeans that evening instead of his classic suit. He got into his modest Audi 100, a car that often elicited skeptical looks from women. Their reactions only amused a wealthy man like Justin, who found a strange comfort in the anonymity it provided, allowing him to observe the world without the lens of his wealth. "Mindless chickens, you might as well wear price tags," Justin scoffed, as the 10th potential girlfriend declined his playful offer to go for a drive. Tired of wasting his time, he got out of the car to buy cigarettes. As he crossed the street, a massive SUV sped by, splashing him with mud from head to toe. "Watch where you're driving," he shouted, following with a string of choice words. Reaching the curb, he stumbled, fell, and hit his head on the pavement. Silence and darkness followed. Passers-by shook their heads, assuming the worst. "Lord, why get so drunk and covered in filth?" one remarked. "Another bum drank himself unconscious," another chimed in. Justin regained consciousness in an unfamiliar, modestly furnished room. He thought he had heard voices earlier, one of which belonged to a young woman. "He's not drunk. There's no smell of alcohol. He hit his head. See the bruise on the back of his head?" The young woman argued with two strangers, her voice filled with concern and conviction. She had apparently convinced them of Justin's condition, ensuring he received the help he needed. Justin opened his eyes to see a girl in her early 20s sitting on a chair opposite him, engrossed in a thick book. Noticing he was awake, she approached his bed. "Hello, how are you feeling? Would you like some water?" Justin nodded slowly. His throat was parched. The girl jumped up, returned with a glass of water and a straw, and carefully placed it in his mouth. "Take your time, don't rush. You might choke." She brought him another glass when he indicated he wanted more. Feeling much better, Justin ventured to ask the obvious question. "Where am I?" "City Hospital, Neurosurgery Department," the stranger replied. She had beautiful sea blue eyes, clear and compassionate. Justin found it difficult to breathe. "My name is Justin," he whispered, avoiding her gaze. She smiled and replied, "I'm Vera. Nice to meet you." Vera was a fifth-year medical student doing her practice in neurosurgery. She had found Justin unconscious on the street and insisted on bringing him to the clinic, despite the staff's reluctance. "Have you seen how filthy he is? He must have been rolling in the mud. There's not a clean spot on him," the sanitary workers grumbled as they helped undress Justin before the operation. "Why did we have to bring him here? Are we running out of decent people and now have to pick up vagrants from the street?" But Vera confidently argued, "You can see as well as I can that he's not a vagrant. Look at his hands. No dirt under his nails, no parasites on his head or body, and his teeth are in excellent condition. Have you ever seen a vagrant like this? I haven't. And even if he is, what difference does it make?" Justin underwent surgery, and Vera nursed him back to health over the next few days. Since he had no phone or documents, Justin was registered under a number, which indicated the date of admission and the ward number. Usually there weren't many such patients, so identifying them was easy. Sometimes they talked about life, and Vera disliked how her new patient spoke disparagingly about people and women in particular. "You know, Justin, I feel like your past traumas have left deep scars. It's unpleasant to listen to you," Vera said one day. "How can you make such judgments about people you know nothing about? And besides, if I had followed your logic, seeing you covered in mud, I should have just walked away and left you to die on the road because you didn't look like a normal person." Vera's words silenced Justin, compelling him to reflect on his cynical worldview. Her compassion and willingness to see beyond appearances offered him a new perspective on humanity and the value of genuine connections. Realizing all this, Justin changed his behavior. He admired Vera's intelligence and her love for reading. During her spare time between medical procedures, she was always engrossed in a book, classical literature, medical texts. "My father was a history professor, and my mother was a linguist. I'm the traitor who chose medicine, but they don't mind," Vera laughed. Meanwhile, she preferred listening to others rather than talking about herself. "Who cares how I live at my age? Better to listen and remember than to flaunt my immaturity," she said. Justin was impressed by her approach. He had never met a woman who was more interested in others than in herself. Vera was calm about it. "I live the way I want. No one can force me to interact with someone I don't like, not even for $1 million. Justin soon learned that Vera had rejected a wealthy suitor who wanted her to quit her studies after marriage and stay home, focusing solely on children and entertaining guests. This revelation deepened Justin's respect for Vera, highlighting her independence and commitment to her passion and values. "I love my profession. I love to help others. If I wanted to be a kept woman, I wouldn't have spent time on medicine," Vera explained. "But your husband could have provided for you completely," Justin cautiously suggested. Vera shrugged, her expression thoughtful. "I can provide for myself. Diamonds, cars, and furs aren't my biggest dreams. I spend so much time with books and freelance work because I love medicine more. Besides, being dependent on a man means being subject to his whims and moods. If he decides I'm too old, fat, or no longer pleasing, he can toss me aside. I don't want to depend on anyone. Understand?" Justin admired Vera's independence and rationality, especially the fact that she didn't consider money or gifts as necessary signs of affection. "Then you should choose someone who will never leave you," he replied. "We never know what might happen to us," Vera mused. "Even great love doesn't guarantee that relationships won't change someday. I once knew someone who thought that by marrying him, I should belong to him completely, be his only breath of life. But what would I be then? A remote-controlled toy? No, I want to be seen as a person, not just as a tool with some added bonuses for variety." Vera's perspective resonated with Justin, inspiring a shift in his outlook on love and life. When Justin was discharged from the hospital, he discovered that his car had long been impounded. Besides, winter had set in and he found himself without a warm jacket or shoes. Without his car, where his documents, phones, and keys remained, Justin couldn't get home. His poor memory for numbers, exacerbated by the head injury, left him frustrated and helpless, unable to recall his own phone number or that of his best friend. He turned to Vera for help in finding his car, though he only vaguely remembered the license plate. Vera enlisted her friends to search, and the car was eventually found. However, retrieving it from the impound lot posed a problem due to the lack of documents. Vera persuaded an ex-boyfriend to use his connections to assist with the retrieval. She also secured a warm jacket and shoes for Justin. Throughout this ordeal, Justin continued to conceal his true identity. He anticipated that Vera would seek compensation for her help, but she remained silent on the matter. Instead, it was Vera who gave him money for gas to get home. When she dropped him off at the impound lot, she calmly handed him the money and said goodbye. "Drive safely and don't end up back in the hospital," she said with a warm smile. Justin was struck by Vera's genuine kindness and selflessness. Her actions challenged his preconceived notions about people and their motivations, leaving him with a profound sense of gratitude and a newfound appreciation for authentic connections. When Justin returned to his luxurious apartment, absent for nearly 2 weeks, he immediately shed his hospital clothes and took a long shower. He savoured every moment of his return to familiar comforts, a spacious bright apartment, comfortable furniture, and modern technology that suited his discerning taste, yet he felt a strange emptiness inside, as if something essential was missing, leaving only a shell. He resumed his usual routine, meeting friends who hadn't even noticed his disappearance, attending Friday parties, and travelling to expensive resorts. But more and more, he saw a woman's face with classic features and a stern gaze from green eyes. Vera haunted him like an apparition. He heard her voice even in his dreams, scolding him for his reckless behaviour. Finally, deciding he'd had enough of this imaginary romance, Justin set out to find Vera. To his surprise, she was no longer at the hospital. The HR department informed him that she had moved to another city after graduating. Meanwhile, Justin had signed a major contract with an equipment supplier and was busy completing a new server development for the company. He immersed himself in work, concluding that since his attempt to find Vera had failed, it wasn't meant to be. Almost a year of this whirlwind brought him more money and success, but the feeling of emptiness only grew stronger. One day, browsing the news online, Justin came across an article about a young neurosurgeon who had successfully performed brain surgery under extreme conditions when the power went out during an operation. At first glance at the photo, Justin dropped his tablet. Smiling at him was Vera, dressed in a blue medical uniform. Beside her stood old professor and saved patient, holding the hand of a little boy with his spouse and a baby in her arms. "Vera?" Justin whispered, astonished, and frantically searched for where the operation had been performed. Finding the city name, he sighed in relief. "Now, I won't lose you." The next day he flew to that city and rushed straight to the hospital from the airport. But Vera wasn't there. However, Justin easily convinced the administrator to give him Vera's number. Justin couldn't wait and called Vera immediately. "Vera, hello, it's Justin. Remember, you brought a guy to the hospital who was covered in mud from the street. You helped me find my car and gave me warm clothes. Let's meet up. I want to thank you for what you did." Vera was surprised, but agreed to meet. When she saw Justin, she smiled joyfully. "You look like an entirely different person. How are you feeling, Justin?" Justin was amazed that she genuinely cared about his health, rather than noticing his expensive coat and branded shoes. Such things seemed to hold no significance for Vera. As before, Justin couldn't bring himself to tell her the whole truth, fearing she would dismiss him if he mentioned money or relationships. Instead, he started visiting her whenever he had spare time, When Justin invited Vera to celebrate New Year's together after 6 months of close communication, she agreed, after a brief consideration. "Vera, I'm incredibly happy that my head was injured at the right time and place," Justin joked. "If it hadn't happened, I would never have met such a wonderful girl like you. When I think of you, my heart feels warm and I want to sing. I'm over 30. I make good money, and I'm ready to start a family, but only with someone who means so much to me. I swear, I will never interfere in your life without your knowledge and permission, even if I don't like something. You are the one with whom I want to spend the rest of my life." "What a long introduction," Vera smiled, her eyes glistening with a tear. "I'm saying this because I want you to be my wife," Justin said, carefully opening a small box to reveal a sparkling pearl ring set in diamonds. "Why a pearl?" Vera asked, her gaze fixed on the ring. "Because you are a rare pearl," he explained, his voice filled with sincerity. Justin couldn't take his eyes off Vera's astonished face. She embraced and kissed him, whispering, "I agree." So, Justin's journey from cynicism to genuine connection culminated in a heartfelt proposal, marking the beginning of a new chapter filled with love, respect, and mutual affection.